5 seconds to go. Start. Elaborating further, he said gender identity refers to each person's deeply felt internal and individual experience of gender, which may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth, including the personal sense of the body, which may involve a freely chosen modification of bodily appearance or functions by medical, surgical, or other means, and other expressions of gender, including dress, speech, and mannerisms. Gender identity, therefore, refers to an individual's self identification as a man, woman, transgender, or other identified category. Going to the concept of discrimination, he stated the discrimination on the ground of sex under Articles 15 and 16 therefore includes discrimination on the ground of gender identity. The expression sex used in Articles 15 and 16 is not just limited to biological sex of male or female, but intended to include people who consider themselves to be neither male nor female. Dealing with the legality of transgender identity, Radhakrishnan Judge ruled the self-identified gender can be either male or female or a third gender. Hijras are identified as persons of third gender and are not identified either as male or female. Gender identity, as already indicated, refers to a person's internal sense of being male, female, or a transgender. For example, Hijras do not identify as female because of their lack of female genitalia or lack of reproductive capability. This distinction makes them separate from both male and female genders, and they consider themselves neither man nor woman but a third gender. Sikri Judge, in his concurring opinion dwelling upon the rights of transgenders, laid down that gender identification is an essential component which is required for enjoying civil rights by the community. It is only with this recognition that many rights attached to the sexual recognition as third gender would be available to the said community more meaningfully, which the right to vote, the right to own property, the right to marry, the right to claim a formal identity through a passport and a ration card, a driver's license, the right to education, employment, health, and so on. Emphasizing on the aspect of human rights, he observed, there seems to be no reason why a transgender must be denied of basic human rights, which includes right to life and liberty with dignity, right to privacy and freedom of expression, right to education and empowerment, right against violence, right against exploitation, and right against discrimination to the third gender. The Constitution has fulfilled its duty of providing rights to transgenders. Now it is time for us to recognize this and to extend and interpret the Constitution in such a manner to ensure a dignified life for transgender people. All this can be achieved if the beginning is made with the recognition of TG as third gender. The aforesaid judgment, as is manifest, lays focus on inalienable gender identity and correctly connects with human rights and the constitutionally guaranteed right to life and liberty with dignity. It lays stress on the judicial recognition of such rights as an inextricable component of Article 21 of the Constitution and decries any discrimination as that would offend Article 14, the fons juris of our Constitution. It has to be borne in mind that search for identity as a basic human ideal has ruled the mind of every individual in many a sphere like success, fame, economic prowess, political assertion, celebrity status and social superiority, etc. But search for identity in order to have apposite space in law, sense stigmas and sense fear has to have the freedom of expression about his her being, which is keenly associated with the constitutional concept of identity with dignity. When we talk about identity from the constitutional spectrum, it cannot be pigeonholed singularly to one's orientation that may be associated with his her birth and the feelings he she develops when he she grows up. Such a narrow perception may initially sound to subserve the purpose of justice, but on a studied scrutiny, it is soon realized that the limited recognition keeps the individual choice at bay. The question that is required to be posed here is whether sexual orientation alone is to be protected or both orientation and choice are to be accepted as long as the exercise of these rights by an individual do not affect another's choice, or to put it briefly, has the concept of the other where dignity of both is maintained and privacy as a seminal facet of Article 21 is not dented. At the core of the concept of identity lies self-determination, realization of one's own abilities, serving the opportunities and rejection of external views with a clear conscience that is in accord with constitutional norms and values or principles that are, to put in a capsule, constitutionally permissible. As long as it is lawful, one is entitled to determine and follow his her pattern of life, and that is where the distinction between constitutional morality and social morality or ethicality assumes a distinguished place, a different objective for the purpose of equality. Stop.